All right.
All right. Hello.
Hello.
I'm Chris.
I'm Kara.
And we're the Midnight Babes.
Boop, 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 boop.
Hi.
I was going to put our own intro song.
We totally could.
We could. We got our Chantel gear. So we got our gear finally.
Yes.
A few episodes late, but it came.
It came.
It came. That's what matters.
It's probably going to sound a little wonky. We're in a new space today.
Yes.
But that's okay.
But we're just switching up the backgrounds for y'all.
It's what we do.
It's
It's
what
when
we-
we can record.
Yeah. When us moms can make it happen.
I know. It's like, I'll fix it in editing.
That's
I'll attempt.
what you're great
I'll
at.
attempt to fix it.
I'm good at the notes. You're really good at
I'm at the
editing.
tech.
That's why we make a great team. We watched The Exorcist Believer.
Yep.
So I always run through like the written plot. And it was when his daughter Angela and her friend Catherine show signs of demonic possession, it unleashes a chain of events that forces single father Victor Fielding to confront the nadir of evil. Terrified and desperate, he seeks out Chris McNeil, the only person who's alive who witnessed anything like it before.
Yep. Who is the mother from the original Exorcist.
So this
Reagan.
is a direct sequel from the original Exorcist, which...
Well, I mean, there's multiple Exorcists.
Yes, but this would be
this
like
is
a direct sequel as far as the mom and the daughter go.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I was
think, were they in 3? It's been a while since I've seen that one. I did not like 2. Because that was like, okay, what the fuck ever. And then there was like the beginning and all that. I'm like, okay, whatever. But I want to say, were they in 3? I'm going to have to look that up.
I don't know, but it was really cool to see her, and it added like that little like bit of like fan base. You're like, oh my god, that's actually her.
I just love that she did come back and they explained a little bit more, you know, like what she was doing.
With like the YouTube clips that we saw when, what was his name, Victor? Was like starting to research everything.
Yeah.
And we got clips and like flashbacks, and I was like,
oh,
yes, this is it for me.
I felt like with this whole, I felt like with the movie, the one thing that I kind of had about is that, you know, when they are searching for the kids, yada yada, it's like what actually was going on and what happened. Like they alluded to, like they went to hell. Blah, blah, blah. 'Cause, like that's kind of how it was in the beginning. But I was like, I don't know, I was expecting more. But I feel like that's just how it is with The Exorcist.
Yeah, I mean, like my first note is like this wasn't really like spooky.
No,
like I thought it was going to be, but I did. You have to kind of know that with an Exorcist movie, though.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting. Like it's pretty clear.
I mean, because there's a lot of people out there that don't even think The Exorcist was scary. But it was scary for their time.
Yeah,
because that was the first thing. Like they really actually. Like back in what, wasn't that
73?
70s? Yeah.
I don't ask me how I know the year.
I was like,
dang girl, you've been doing your research.
But
yeah, I watched that in 3rd grade when I watched it, and that movie kept me up for years. Like I remember being like traumatized after that movie.
It was my 13th birthday. It's when I finally got around to watching it, and that's when we lived at our old house back in Alaska. And I just remember when she's doing her thing down the stairs, that's the exact time that my dog came down the stairs, and I had friends over, and we're like, so
I did like this. It wasn't like your traditional Catholicism, exorcism.
They like everything, which was good to see, like the different points.
So many different like rituals, religions,
but they all have that one thing of like, don't fucking touch them.
Yeah, I mean, they all have the same rule. It's like...
Doesn't matter what you believe in, but I think that's why it's called Exorcist Believer. Because you need to be able to believe in something. And
And you can't cast out something that you don't believe is truly there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean...
I think that's the whole thing about it.
Yeah. And it was cool because, you know, at the end we see Dad come full circle, right? From not believing, even with his daughter in front of him.
Yeah.
Clearly knowing some shit that she shouldn't.
Yeah.
Then he starts to, like, come to and starts to believe, but it, like, takes him forever. I'm like, sir.
See, and I don't think he's truly believing in God or whatever. It's he believes in his wife.
Yeah.
That's what it is, because like, you need to believe in something.
Yeah, you need to believe in something. It doesn't matter who, it doesn't matter what. Like, you just have to believe that there's something else out there.
Yeah.
So I thought they did a really great job at that. I did, like, note my jump scenes, of course. That little, like, tunnel in the woods that Angela and Catherine, the girls, walked down to. First of all, I was like,
nope.
No. I'm thinking, like, you and I out there, and you'd be like, come on, let's go. And I'd have, like, my feet, like, dug into the ground. I'm like, no.
Well, see, here's the thing. If it's daylight out, yeah, I'll go.
That's different, but it was nighttime.
And I'm just like, I know better. Like, I want to know, but I'll come back during the day.
I'll come back during the day with, like, some people, like, some dogs.
And I say, like, that's the thing, is, like, if it's just me or one other person, I'd be like,
we're not going to do this.
We're not going to be doing that.
Do you have a weapon?
Do you have a weapon? Are we prepared?
Are we prepared to go on this trip? So essentially, like, these two girls both tell their parents they're going to another girl's house to study after school.
The classic kids of, like, you tell your mom, and then I'm going to tell my mom. But they don't know each other, so they're not going to call.
They're not gonna know. And, you know, they're, like, supposed to be home by dinner, and, like, 3 days go by, and nobody's... Like, the girls are missing, right?
Yep.
So they're launching, like, the whole city's looking for them. The parents are looking for them.
Which, good for them, that those, because the cops, there's always a whole thing. I don't know if maybe it's different for kids, but 48 hours.
Yeah, it is different for kids. You don't have to wait.
Good. Like, I thought about that. I'm like, damn, these cops are, like...
On it.
Let's get on it. And I was like, wait, no, they're children.
They're children. Yep, that's when we bring in the FBI. That's when there's no, like, time restriction on calling. Like, dude, if your kid's gone, you should probably call, like, right away.
Yeah, I know you're more along that line of, like, you know what you know, like, that's your true crime.
I really love me
it.
some First 48, man.
See, and, like, you would think that I would be watching that, but I kind of get bored. I want to know more about the killers. I want to know more about their psychology.
Yeah, same.
I want to know, like this is why you got caught.
Why are you so fucked up?
You're more into, like, this.
Yes,
and it's like
I'm very like detail oriented, right? So I want to know, like, what was done. Like, not only did the killer do, but, like, what did the cops do? What did the lawyers do? What did the family do?
Like, those people are stupid.
Yeah, and I'm like, interesting.
I'm just raging. I'm like, you would have gotten away with it if you only did this.
If you would have just not done that, you would have totally gotten off scot-free here. God. That's why I'm going to call you if I ever need help, you know?
I got that shovel ready.
So, like, we kind of missed the beginning, but, like, we see a flashback in the beginning, and they are in... Haiti, and it's the Haitian earthquake. At least based on my math that they gave me, it was my biggest guess.
Yeah.
And his wife dies in the earthquake.
Well,
kind of. Yeah. I mean, she's about to. The doctors are like,
super pregnant.
Yeah, we can either save you or your wife or your daughter. And we don't see his choice in the beginning.
Not till the end.
We just assume he chose his daughter because we then see his daughter in the next scene.
Yeah.
At the end, we find out, I mean, one of the demons, his daughter, lets him know, you actually chose mom, like, you didn't want me.
Yeah, it's like, choose me.
I think that's when, dude, that shit was freaking me out. Both the girls, like, echoing each other, and they're like, choose me. And they're all like, because they have them tied.
Oh, yeah, like, back. They're like back.
They're like, choose me. I'm like, oh, you know what was great?
Huh?
The drip.
Drop.
Dude, I was like, could somebody shut these bitches up? Because it's not the drip drop, it's the way y'all are saying it, and, like,
Can I just say, too, with Catherine, not Angela, with Catherine, I thought they did a really good job of making her look more like
demented.
Well, and like Reagan and how she was. I was like, that's it.
I noticed Catherine's change Which this whole thing was like funny to me when she's in church with her parents and they go up for communion and they find her in the kitchen and she's covered in the blood in the body, the blood in the body. And she's, walking down the aisle, the church is covered in wine and the blood in the body, the blood in the body. And like you could see her face morphing then, and that's when I was like, girl, you better get out this church, first of all, because...
How are you busting up in flames? Isn't that a
thing? And that's when I was like... Okay, so if this one demon is controlling two humans separately...
But is it one demon? Because they never said it was Pazuzu.
I don't know. I just assumed it was because of
talking to Chris?
Yes.
Yeah, see?
And she was like, this is a powerful one. So, like, I just assumed from what she had said that this was one. But then I was confused, like... when the girls are missing and before Dad even knows, like the lights in his studio are going out and shit. And so I was like, well, they could have already been possessed at that point, doing whatever they were doing, underneath the ground.
Like in the sewer.
But I was like, how is it also affecting with Dad's house too?
Is it just because that's where Mom's stuff is? Because she was trying to find Mom.
Yeah, and she did need to have a connection to Mom's item, which is why she took the scarf.
But what was it like? My question is, what was the connection with Catherine? Is it just because they had all the kids?
She said she told her dad or somebody at one point in the story. Yeah, when she first gets home before she goes all like fucked up, she says that. Because Catherine is so religious, she wanted to prove to Catherine that like her mom talks to her, and it
was a face.
Yeah, and so she wanted to also to like prove to Catherine like I'm not crazy. Like tell me I'm not crazy. So, but what? And then like because whatever because he was like, well, was Mom there? And she was like, no. So something else clearly was.
Yeah, because like I kind of got the feel that Catherine's family was super religious and whatnot. Like we do see that, but it was like what made Catherine have that test of faith and had it where she was possessed.
Yeah, and I think that was more of Angela being like, I want you to do this for me. Like, I want to show you, right? Like, is this true? Am I really talking beyond the grave?
Are you actually super religious, or is it your family putting that
in you? See, there's both sides of it, which I do like when they do that with movies.
I do too, because it makes it like that is
thought provoking,
and it's like real life. Like you're putting these kids. That's one thing that like really gets on my nerves, especially with like any type of religion, is when you really pressure your kids
when they don't fully understand.
They don't fully understand, and it's like, no, this is what we are, and this is what you're gonna do. It's like, well, now you're just gonna either one, they're gonna become super religious and assholes, or
they're gonna rebel completely. Like opposite end of the spectrum.
So it's like
you win some, you lose some. I did know. So like obviously the girls have been missing. We find out they come home, but they walked for 3 days
barefoot.
For 30 miles barefoot in the rain.
Yeah. Got to the farm, and then there was a dead horse, which is just like, what's happening? They possessed.
Yeah, so with the dead horse, I was like, I'm like, where are we, right? Because they kind of like show these two farmers. I'm like, okay, and then he's going to the barn to get the blankets, and that's when I was like...
Because he hears the animalistic
sounds.
Noise.
I for sure thought these girls were going to eat that.
I thought so too.
I'm really upset they didn't.
I know.
The one thing this could have had was more jump scares and more gore.
Yeah, but that's also not
an Exorcist movie.
Yeah, I mean, we had a little pukey. Now Nathan would puke. Something fell out. I don't even know what that was.
They said it was like some sort of like the like black goo. What? Yeah, I don't know what that was, but we only had one like vomit scene for Exorcist, right? And that's when she went.
But like, that was intense.
Yes,
I was expecting something like that. Like we had when they were doing the hoodoo and getting the vapor and having that.
The fire.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh my god, when she did the like hoodoo into the fire, and because like one of the girls was like smoking out of the mouth, so she like. And this like fire fights the fire, and you like hear the demons screaming, and I was like, that was dope. Like, I don't want to see a priest hold the fucking cross to her head anymore. Like, no, give me
something else. Like,
So that was cool. I was like, okay, you know, she's got the bath full of flowers and herbs,
Yes.
right? And she's drinking it and pouring it on the girls, and they're like sizzling.
And they said like it's
screaming.
equivalent to holy water because
Yes.
it's like that's what there is. It's for the
Yes.
cleansing and the healing. I love that.
I did too.
I love that.
I really like the mix of what type of
Everybody's
beliefs
like,
we had. And, you know, Chris brought up, like, everybody has to be there together, like, to bring the families together to fight this, which is, again, why I thought it was the same, like, one entity controlling the two girls.
Yeah.
Especially the way it was, like, choose, you know?
Well, I guess, you know what? I guess that does make sense because then you have to choose. But then because he's split, he would still need to possess one body to get back.
Yes. So that's why I was like, I'm thinking it's one, right? I was wondering how the neighbor nurse was going to play into this.
I loved it.
I did too, but she's a great actress.
Yeah.
I was questioning for quite a while though, like, what does she have to do with this? Because we keep seeing her in the hospital. And I'm like, well, they've got to, like, have some sort of insight. And then we find out when they bring Angela back to the hospital, she calls her Sister Mary Xavier and talks about how she aborted her baby, and she had never said this to anybody.
No.
And so she's the one who actually, this is like the tip of the story, right? Because then she goes to the dad, Victor, and is like,
because they're neighbors.
You need to open your eyes. Here's a book, which leads him to Chris, right? So then we go to the Catholic Church, and they're trying to get an exorcism sanctioned, and they're like, no. I mean, like, who's saying yes anymore? Not them.
No.
So, and it's interesting because, you know, we have this nurse / sister, exiled sister.
Yeah.
And then you've got the priest, and then you've got some sort of, like, random, like, big church pastor.
Yeah.
And then you've got the hoodoo spiritual woman.
You got the boxing
guy. Yes.
Who was with the hoodoo.
Yes.
So they were together. He's like, because we're family.
We're family. Like, yep, this is my family. So we have all these people, right? And then they go to the Catholic. Well, a couple of them go to the Catholic church. They're like, no. So then the priest is like, I can't get involved in this.
Stays in the car
the whole time, like outside the house, and I'm like, bro, what do you mean you can't get involved in it?
I love when Victor comes up because he's having to pour out the hoodoo water, and then sees the priest and like, knocks on it. He's like,
fights in there because he's out there just praying with his rosary in his car, and he's like, fights in there, dude. Like, you out here praying isn't gonna do anything at this point. I mean, these two girls are wildly possessed. They floating, they steaming, they smoking, they're speaking in tongues. They've got I mean, like, it's clear they're possessed.
Yeah.
So I told you earlier, like, one of my favorite parts of the movie is when the priest does come in, and he's holding the cross, and he's ready to fucking rumble. And the way he walks in is like, we're gonna get this guy out.
Business. Yeah, like,
he's
coming in
we're
with his
done.
2 rosaries.
And, you know, the girls, they're sitting side by side, and he immediately touches them. And I'm like, how many times have we had the conversation? But do not touch them.
He was not there when they said, don't.
He was one of the first people to be like, do not touch them.
But he wasn't in there.
He was the first time before they took her to the hospital, and he was like, don't touch her.
Yeah.
And then you're right, he wasn't there. The other times it was echoed.
Like when it's like,
yes,
really
when they were in it, they were like, don't touch them.
He just goes up, puts the crosses to their foreheads, but he's full touching, and then Catherine is saying whatever, and then like starts turning her head, and then you see the priest
just go all the way around,
all the way, which I loved because that another throwback to the original Exorcist when she does her head turn.
Headspin. Well, and same when they get Chris in the eyes with the cross.
I know. I seriously thought Catherine was gonna do the.
Yep. So
I was like, we're going there.
I was like, oh. Okay, but yeah, we got her in the eyes. I was like, that was a fun throwback, and I like that they did it to keep her alive. Yeah, but she just lost her vision, her worldly vision, because and while she's in the hospital, she's connected to those two girls somehow. She's able to like see and hear what's going on almost.
Yep.
And I wonder if that's a connection to the demon.
Probably because she's already like going through with everything. That makes a lot of sense. But I love how like when someone walks in, she was always like, "Who is it?
Who is it? Mm-hmm. Who is it?
Who
like,
is it?
I can't see, right?
Yeah.
So it's fucked up. But yeah, after the priest gets snap-deed, you know, then that's when the girls are like, choose me, choose me, choose me.
And of course, Victor and then Catherine's mom's like, we can't.
We're not gonna make a choice.
But then Catherine's fucking dead.
And a moment of weakness from like around the corner, which he was weak the whole time.
Oh my God.
It was like really clear. Like
See, because of that, I seriously thought he was doing something with the tour.
Yeah, well, and when they talked about the sins that family had committed, and they touched on it so lightly and how withdrawn the parents were from each other, I was like
it really made me think
what
that
happened?
Daddy was doing something. You know, because we see those in these movies, especially with like the religious side of those movies, and that was my first
gave either that or like
beatings
maybe
or something.
or like I've cheated on you, like I've hurt the family, like it was more than just like a traumatizing from the Exorcist. He was very disassociated and like disconnected, but then he's like, I choose you, Catherine, and you know,
and everyone's freaking out. She's like, no.
And I'm over here like, Mom, you're about to get your ass played because I mean,
you can't fucking trust a demon.
I was gonna say I've never met one, but what I do know is you can't trust them, and they're gonna lie.
Turn it around.
Yeah, like you don't trust them. So that was crazy to watch. You know, her family like, oh, Catherine, you're okay, and Victor and his daughter
and Angela are just on the floor
by themselves, and she's dead at that point. And then things flip, right? So like Angela's coming to life and Catherine's dying, and all the attention's still on Catherine.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really weird. And I don't know if like I guess that was one of the things I was like, why?
See, for me, because like Victor and Angela are of the black family, and then everybody else is of the white family.
I was wondering if it was a race thing.
Yes, but at the same time, you can tell like the hoodoos and like his neighbor friend or whatever was more on his side. But I think it's because they had more with their type of religion on that side, and the fact that she was fully dying.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the nurse was there because like they tried the defibrillator.
They did try to defib.
But my first thought too was like, is this a racial thing? But then I was looking at it and I'm like, I don't think it is. It's more along the lines of like,
it passed my mind. Like, is this like a racial thing, right? Like we're not giving enough attention to Angela, right? And like, then I was like, no. Like it passed my mind, and then I was kind of like, no, like that doesn't really make sense.
It doesn't make sense, yeah. So I'm really glad that they didn't do anything like that. Like this. Thankfully, nowadays, I mean, some of the movies can go so skewed in that way. Like, now we're going to put, like,
all of the effort, too much.
And that's for women, for LGBT, for, like...
anything, any genre, it can go that way.
And so, like, I'm just glad to see a movie where it's like, no, there's these two best friends doing their thing as kids.
Yeah.
And, like, these families are coming together.
And then they got possessed. Like, with scary movies, that's where I'm like, leave it out. Because I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I'm like...
It doesn't matter in general, number one.
Let's get scared.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
Yeah. It was like, now, I can understand it, but it's going to come into play when it's more of a... No,
if it's part of the bigger picture,
if like this is your type of religion, and it's like mostly based in like with voodoo, things like that. I heard that it's mostly based in like New Orleans, or like
yes,
those
they're more
states.
Popular because it's more rooted in their history, right?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
But I'm so happy that we got to see hoodoo and whatnot come into it. I love that they brought in different.
That's what I think made it my favorite Exorcist, is because we got to see
Catholicism.
Yeah,
I love it.
It was not straight Catholicism. I'm just like reading through my notes real quick and like.
What else are we talking about? I think that's really honestly it.
Yeah, no, I mean they did a great cast. I did like seeing a lot of newer faces on screen. I think they all did a great job.
Yeah.
I didn't have any issue with like the length of the movie.
No.
It flowed really well. I mean, like my only thing is it could have had more gore, but that's not an Exorcist movie,
that's
so
just
I can't.
Wanting.
Yeah. So I'm like, I can't really like play too much into that. I did think, like, overall, it was really good for different Exorcist.
Yeah.
movie,
Well,
though.
and then we got those little flashes of like when Catherine was in the sewers, and then like
what happened.
But I think that's what happened when Daddy chose her.
Yeah.
And like we got those flashbacks. And like now we're
because you could like
gradually-
hear him in the back, and she's like, "Dad, I'm coming," and like she's sounding further and further.
But we
away
saw
and
like
getting
weird.
pulled underwater. Yeah, like little hands and stuff. But one thing I want to know is, don't we learn the name of each demon in almost like every Exorcist movie? Because don't you have to know the name?
You have to know the name.
Did we hear a name in this movie? Because I
Not
don't
that
recall one.
I don't think so. But I think that's why everyone, like, or at least for us, we're assuming that it's Pazuzu because it's that connection with Chris.
Chris, okay.
I think. But
I mean, that's my only
I think
assumption.
it is because when Angela was in the mental health facility, whatever, the mental facility, she was carving Reagan in the wood.
That's right.
That's where I'm thinking that it is Pazuzu.
It's gotta be, because the obsession with Reagan,
Yeah.
right? And knowing that, like, Chris hasn't seen Reagan or whatever. Just a call out to the end.
Yeah.
That was super cool how we get to see Reagan
Reagan's like,
come back
"No,
in.
it's me."
Yeah, because, you know, of course, Chris is like, "Who's that?"
Yeah.
'Cause she's blind. And then we
Like
see
she
Reagan.
walked it in with her hand. I was like, it's raining. I
Yeah,
know it's raining.
It was a really good way to end it. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't drag that ending out. It was quick, and like we got to see the dad go to his wife's grave, just kind of like pay his respects and showing that he's believing. I mean, I thought it was really well rounded.
Yeah, I think it's like, what didn't they end with? Angela still going to school, but of course Catherine's not there. But that was kind of like it. And I'm like, well, that sucks.
Yeah, she like looks over at like her friend's desk, and her
blank.
friend's like not there, and you're kind of like,
And I was like, oh, that's just how we're gonna end it with
but at
Angela.
least
Okay,
you survived, girlfriend.
you know.
You know, if like I died and you lived, I would be up there like, "Good girl, I'm glad you're still making it."
I probably would still be like, are you here?
I'd be like,
come hang out with me
I'll be
on
like,
board.
"Here."
You're gonna be like, yes, bitch.
I'll smack you out your sleep. You wake up and you're like, "Jacob, Kara's gonna smack me."
Tell her to stop.
And Jacob's like, "No, hit her on the ass."
I'm like, that's all it's gonna be though. It's like, if I die first, your ass is haunted.
I'm gonna haunt you in a fun way though.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna know it's me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna leave out little trails of Fruit Loops or something.
I'm gonna be like, the fuck? I don't want ants, Kara.
The next day, poof, they're gone.
No, I would totally, if like you're doing something stupid, I'd be like, I'm in your closet. I'm gonna be fucking with your closet.
Don't.
I'm like, you better stop it. You
Better knock it off, woman. Well, I think we're gonna do the Krampus smut book.
Yeah, we have a Krampus smut book. We have the Krampus movie.
Yes, so we're gonna do both of those, and then we have. We're reading. Oh my God, why am I forgetting the name of it? Short stories.
It haunts the mind.
It Haunts the Mind and Other
By
Short
Nick.
Stories
By
by
Nick
Nick
Roberts.
Roberts. So we're reading that now. So
And
we'll
then
review that one.
We have another Nick Roberts book we're reading. I cannot pronounce it. I'm so sorry.
Anathema? God damn it.
Is that it?
I'm about to go look at his TikTok and look at
Yep.
that little cute girl that has the pointer on how to pronounce it. Anathema. We're going to do that one too. And by the time we do, we're going to have the name down pat.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, we're loving all of the books right now.
Yep.
We'll be back with
Trying to get some of the holiday books in.
Christmas books, some Christmas movies, but spooky
You know.
Christmas. And then, yeah, we'll
I think
be
I
back with more spooks for a bit before we roll back into smut.
But yeah, because you gotta take a break here and there.
You gotta mix it up.
But
Sometimes
I
the
want
smut's just
spookies.
smutting, and I want spookies right now.
I want
so
spookies. Not like Halloween was just around the corner. But we gave it a month.
it's still, it's fine.
It's that time.
It's still traveling. I'm looking at your sexy ghost face.
No,
Michael
that's Michael.
Myers.
I have my sexy Michael Myers on
Sticker. I was like, oh, look at his cut body.
Oh, with his knife. It's like a total magic
I
Mike.
didn't even see the knife.
It's
The way he's like dancing, it's like, I'm gonna get you.
Represent. Oh my god.
I'm gonna get you.
Okay.
All right,
We're
we're
down.
the Midnight Babes. We'll see you next week.
Yep, we'll be back.
We'll be back.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you'd like to see more from us, you can find us on Instagram at the Midnight Babes Podcast and on TikTok at the Midnight Babes. Stay spooky, friends.